the full board meeting to order, and I think Linda Larson is going to take the roll today. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Here, Laketon Township.
Commissioner Sear,
Here, Twin Lake, Michigan.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Here, Hall of Justice.
Commissioner Hughes,
Susie, can you hear? You're muted, Susie.
Commissioner Hughes, Commissioner
Wow.
Laring,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Vice Chair Nash,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Pago,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Chairman Skolnick,
Here, City of Norton Shores.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Commissioner Hughes.
Susie, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Bob?
Yes, no,
Fix the echo. I can't deal with this.
All right, got it.
okay, so Susie is here. I can see her and I can hear her. Yep, you're good.
Okay, 9 present.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. The next item is the invocation, and Commissioner Sear will do that today.
All right, let's pray. Father, I thank you for pulling together this team of county commissioners to do the county's business in Muskegon County. I also thank you for all of the department heads and their staff, Father, and I pray for your blessings on each and every one of them. As we address issues today, I pray for your wisdom regarding the way that we should go, Lord. Let your peace that passes all understanding guard and keep our hearts and our minds today. Jesus, you are the Prince of Peace, and I ask that you preside over this meeting today. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sear. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Nash, would you lead us in that, please?
Sure.
Do
Sure.
anything, can't stand this.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United
United
States
States of
America,
and to the
and the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nash. The next item is the approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
so moved.
Support.
Or
Okay, we have a motion. It's been motioned by Commissioner Nash, support.
Bob, you're muted.
Bob, you just went on mute for some reason.
Yeah, it just said I was muted. Okay.
Here we go.
Are there any questions or anything, any corrections, anything about the agenda? If not, we've got a motion. Roll call on that, please, Linda.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Sear,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Here,
Commissioner
Yeah.
Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes,
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
9 yes, 0
Okay,
no.
the agenda is approved. The next item is the approval of the regular and closed session minutes of March 9th, 2021. You should have that. I need a motion to approve those 2 sets of minutes.
So moved.
Support.
support.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been supported. Any discussion on that? If not, another roll call, please, Linda.
Commissioner Sear,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
here, yes,
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes,
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Okay, thank you, Linda. The next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Director of Public Health, Kathy Moore. Kathy, are you there? Does anybody, there's so many, there's 100 people on this call, so it's hard to, oh, there she is.
She's coming on.
Thank you.
Okay.
There she is.
Yes, the host had to let me in. Yeah, so thank you. My slides are here, and thank you again for support staff who puts this up because they receive it at the last hour or minute rather. COVID cases, Muskegon County, the number of positive cases have trickled up since last month, reported last month. Not necessarily surprisingly, because the number of required tests for young athletes in Muskegon County now required to participate in sports. So we anticipated or we knew that we would capture some positive cases because of that. Next. The positivity rate for Muskegon County has increased beyond that 10% threshold to 11.6% as of 3/26. It normally takes about 72 hours for most of the test results to be reported to the state, and so that's why that number is lagged. The if you look at the number, the chart on the bottom right, the in the very last column, the cases per million is really an apples to apples comparison. And for Muskegon County, our cases per million, 159, is still lower and sometimes almost half the amount of other communities. And the cases per million is more than half the amount for the state of Michigan average. Next. The total deaths, Muskegon County, we saw recorded four COVID-related deaths in the month of February, and that was just the first week of February. We actually went maybe 6 weeks with 0 deaths reported, and then a couple of weeks ago, late during the week, we received 1 notification of a COVID-related death at a local nursing home. So just 1 death so far to date for the month of March. And then the chart at the bottom, the red column are the number of actual cases identified by age group. And the black bar next to that age group is the number of deaths recorded by age group. Next. This is a representation of the hospital's capacity. The table at the chart is hospitals within our region that many of our Muskegon County residents may be admitted to. So this shows their percentages. CDC recommendation is occupancy of 80% or less. And so we are within that CDC threshold of 80% or less. The bed occupancy is not specifically COVID-19. These are people in the hospital for other reasons, including surgeries and elective procedures. The chart at the bottom is specific to COVID-19 patients in Mercy Health, Sherman campus. And that number has increased over the last month, and we are now at 14 confirmed adults in Mercy Health, with 6 of them on ICU or in ICU. So that's 6 of the 14, and then 2 on the ventilator system. The day before, 34 individuals reported to the emergency room with COVID-like symptoms. Again, this is at a manageable capacity, but we are watching this just in case there's an upsurge. Next. This is just a quick snapshot of the Muskegon County, the 2 prisons in Muskegon County. Their number of active cases for the inmates themselves have gone down since the last week from 12 to 7. And then the number of staff positive cases increased slightly from 201 to 205. Next. Just vaccination eligibility. On March 22nd, individuals aged 50 plus were now eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine. And beginning next week, April 5th, individuals aged 16 and older will be eligible. And only the Pfizer vaccine, we can only vaccinate individuals 16 and 17 with the Pfizer vaccine. Next. This is a chart to show the vaccination percentages by age group. Muskegon County, have really accomplished quite a bit. Age 75 plus, 74% of individuals age 75 and over in Muskegon County have received at least the initial vaccination, and 62.1% of individuals age 75 and over are fully vaccinated. That goes down to 73%, age 65 to 74, at least received the initial vaccination, and 53.8% fully vaccinated. Age group 50 to 64, 42.8%, and 15.7% fully vaccinated. So as the eligibility for the age groups open up, we're going to see more individuals within that age group, but I don't anticipate that we're going to see it at the high percentages of the older population. Next. This is just another chart over the time period from when vaccinations became available in December to present. 34%, 34.9% initial, and 21.3%. This is in response to a quick question received from one of our residents, and I did have a little bit more information. He wanted to know the percentage of residents that receive vaccine. We are basing this percentage on the 138,443 Muskegon County residents age 16 and over who would be eligible for vaccine. So 34.9% have received at least the first dose, and 21.3% fully vaccinated. He did ask which vaccine individuals are requesting and what are we doing to increase supplies related to that. We don't, initially, some of the vaccines we received what we received, and residents did not really have an opportunity to specifically request one or the other, but we have administered 40, and when I say we, not just the health department, this is mainly Mercy Health, and then Health West would be our second highest vaccinator here in Muskegon County, followed by Hackley Community Care, Muskegon Family Care, and Public Health, we're in there too. So 44,472 of Pfizer have been administered, 34,080 Moderna doses have been administered, and 1,668 doses of J&J Janssen has been administered. And I just want to remind him that the FDA authorized emergency use authorization at different periods, so the vaccines weren't available at the same time. He did have another question: how many are unknowingly carrying the vaccine? I really couldn't, it's a novel virus, and I really couldn't find that information with scientific proof. And I just didn't want to speculate. There's so much speculation out there. I just can say that with this high number of individuals being vaccinated, that the number that's out there unknowingly carrying it is smaller and smaller. And then the final question was, what are we doing to aid surrounding citizens in getting their vaccinations? I can say that we do work as a team with other local health departments and as a region. And we now, initially when vaccine supply was very limited, we were very strict and wanted to vaccinate our most vulnerable Muskegon County residents. And then as more and more vaccine became available in Muskegon County, we now will vaccinate individuals who live, work, or play in Muskegon, because even if they come here and play here, they are interacting with our Muskegon County residents, and we want to protect them if we have the supplies to do so. Next. That is it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Laren, go ahead, please.
Kathy, I have a question. So I kind of object to the idea of calling this a vaccination. Is there another terminology that you could come up with? Traditionally, this does not fit the rule of a vaccination.
I would have to look that up, Commissioner. Yeah, and we should say this is authorized as emergency use authorization. And but I don't know a common term, but I will look that up for you.
Well, I've got one. It's an RNA modification device. It's not a traditional vaccine and has not been approved by the FDA as a vaccine. So that's my point.
It's true. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Kathy?
Well, I
can
was just gonna make a comment. Adding up those numbers, it looks like we have just over 80,000 people in Muskegon County with some form of vaccination, which would be close to 50% if we're looking at a population of 170,000. So kudos to the health department and the hospitals and all the clinics and different ones that's been helping out. I think the pace is moving good for our county.
It is. We are above average compared to many counties. So yes.
Okay. Also, Kathy, do you see another surge coming?
So we have seen an increase of vaccination of COVID-19 positive among the younger age groups, but I don't anticipate another major surge like November, because remember November vaccinations were not available, and now we have vaccinated quite a large percentage. So I do not anticipate the crisis that we experienced in November because of the vaccination.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? I just would like to make an announcement. I know there's some people I'm going to call in the audience that have raised their hand. There are places, this is not a place for public comment. Next up, there'll be public comment on an agenda item, and at the end of the meeting, there'll be a time for public comment on anything. So I'm not going to recognize anybody at this point that has their hand up. I'm sorry. Kathy, is that it? Has anybody else got any other questions? Okay, now we're moving ahead. Thank you, Kathy. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, Kathy, good job.
We're moving ahead now to public comment, but it's public comment on an agenda item. So if anyone, and there's 111 people, including the commissioners on this call, which is a pretty large number. If anyone has a comment on something that's on today's agenda, now is your opportunity. So I see Tim Klein.
Yes, this is Tim Klein.
Okay,
you guys
Tim,
hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
Tim,
okay.
let me just say this. Everybody has 2 minutes and it's being timed. So, yeah, go ahead, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. My name is Tim Klein. I'm a U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. I'm also a resident of Norton Shores and of Muskegon County since 2006. I'm speaking to you concerning agenda items 9B, that's Bravo, through 9D as in Delta. These items show courage in the face of tyrannical government by now 2 more counties within Michigan. I bring this to point to ensure you are fighting to end the totalitarianism that is currently being perpetuated by government against its people through the SARS-CoV-2 virus, aka COVID-19. As we continue past our 1-year anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I expect you, my commissioners, to stand up and end or simply abstain from bringing up any calls for states of emergencies during this council meeting today or henceforth that relates to this issue. You've just seen a mountain of data showing that there is no point in that. It is time Muskegon County followed where other Michigan counties have stepped forward in the fight against tyranny. I pray that you will have wisdom and courage in these trying times to enact similar resolutions in line with your fellow counties. Therefore, seeing the agenda items 9B through D, please work similarly towards ending any madness that contradicts the rights of the people who live their lives without government intervention or oversight, especially as it relates to this issue. Commissioner Skolnick, as my commissioner for the Norton Shores area, I would like you to adopt a resolution like Sheboygan Resolution for Senate Bill number 1. Remember, as Benjamin Franklin said, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Michael Del Percio.
Can you hear me, Commissioner Skolnick?
Yes, I can, Mike. Thank you. Go
All
ahead.
right, thank you very much. I want to go on record also as supporting the resolutions B, C, and D as presented in the agenda. The people of Muskegon elected a conservative Republican commissioner board, and I believe it's time that you guys start standing up and acting like conservatives. We need some of these protections. Muskegon residents need these protections against the dictatorial edicts coming out of Lansing from our governor. She's already been proven that she's outside of her bounds by the Supreme Court of Michigan. And I think it's time that we stood up and took away her roundabouts that she's using and adhere to the Supreme Court decision, which says she's outside of her bounds after the first 90 days of this whole pandemic. So I would appreciate you guys sticking up for us, Muskegon residents, and passing some resolutions to let Lansing know that we're not going to allow these these dictatorial things to continue to affect our lives. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Del Percio. Karen Palmer. Karen, if you could.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay, go ahead. You're good now. Thank you.
Wonderful. As the other gentleman has stated, I also have read through the Sheboygan and Hillsdale resolutions in particular, and I wanted to express my support regarding the rights of the people being infringed by the governor without legislative approval. And I support the idea of having a similar statement by Muskegon County and call upon my commissioner, Melinda Pago, to support that as well. That's all I need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any other hands. Does anybody?
Any other either?
Are there more?
Oh, we just got one.
No, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay.
It was an accident.
Okay.
All right, so that'll be it for public comment on an agenda item, and thank you to everyone who spoke.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I do know there's a number of callers. Do they know how to unmute themselves or raise their hand?
I do not know. If you're on a call, if you'd like to raise your hand, is that *6? I'm not sure. Does anyone know?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, scroll up on your first page. It talks about that as well.
Okay, if you're on a phone and would like to speak, and you're on this call, there's now 112 people on this, push *6, and it should show up on our screen here. There's so many people that I can't see everybody at once. Mark or Kristen, maybe you could help. go through these names.
I'm scrolling through them. I do not see any hands raised.
I don't.
I just had one from Tim Klein, but he already spoke.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mr. Laring, I don't, we're looking, I don't see anybody. Oh, here's Chris Kyla. Chris? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
You have 2 minutes.
Oh, well, I want to support those resolutions like the previous 2 callers, but I did want to mention that on your agenda, it says that *9 is to raise your hand when you're on a phone. So if someone can
No, it's
verify that.
*9 is to lower your hand.
Yeah. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
*6 to raise, *9 to lower it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just
Okay.
wanted to show my support for that. I
Okay.
want Susie Hughes, my commissioner, to support those resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on now. The next item is just communications to be placed on file. They were included in your packet, and those will be filed and available if you need to see them in the future. So we'll moving on to item 10, the committee board reports. We'll start with community development and strategic planning, and the chair of that committee is Mr. Doug Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Community Development Strategic Plan met on March 11th, 2021, and it was recommended that I move CDSP 21/03-08 to accept the land donation of 2 small parcels bordering Minehart County Park and closing costs on the 2 properties to be funded by White Lake Community Fund from the Land Conservation of West Michigan's Minehart Park Endowment Fund. So,
Support.
thank you.
We've got a motion that's been supported. We discussed this at the committee meeting, but if there are any questions, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, Mr. Laring.
Thank you. So my comment was the same in committee, that the county accepting these pieces of funds or property will take them off of the tax roll, decreasing the amount of property taxes that the county receives. So I will be voting no on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Laring. Administrator Eisenbarth, did we ever check what, I'm pretty sure it's negligible, but did we ever check what the tax,
Yes, we did. Parcel 1, roughly $830, and parcel 2 is roughly $184, a total of $1,007 per year in 2020.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
or Mark, whoever this question can be answered by. So to our understanding, the owners wanted to donate the property to the county. Were they put up for sale for residential opportunities, real estate, before we got the opportunity?
I'll ask Bob Lukens. I don't believe so, but Bob can confirm that.
Thank you.
Mr. Lukens, would you like to comment on that? I don't think those properties were on a road, but maybe I'm wrong. Bob Lukens, are you on the call?
We have to mute him.
Hi, Bob Lukens, Community Development Director for the county. To our knowledge, those properties were not up for sale. They were donated by the family to the county.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no more, we'll have, Linda, you want to do a roll call on this, please?
Sure. Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is the committee report for the Transportation Committee, and Mr. Brown also chairs that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Transportation Committee met on March 11th, 2021, and it was recommended, and I would move, the first motion would be TR 21/03-09 to grant an easement to DTE Gas Company to install an above-ground gate valve and associated infrastructure on property owned by the Muskegon County Airport. This easement request has been reviewed and approved by the FAA, or Federal Aviation Administration.
So moved.
Oh, Mr. Brown, I think because these have already gone through committee, you can do them all as one. You can do these as like just 9 through 15.
Okay, next went through committee was TR 21/03-10 to approve acceptance of a grant offer from the FAA in the amount of $1,006,702 to authorize the board chair to sign and authorize the county clerk to execute any necessary resolutions for the offer. Next was recommended, and I move TR 21/03-11 to authorize the board chair to execute MEMDOT Aeronautics ARFF Grant 2021-0156, the amount of $2,000, and authorize the county clerk to execute the required resolution. TR 21/03-12 to authorize MATS to award FRP 21-2403 for a microtransit turnkey demand response service to the Muskegon Area Transit System to high-rated vendor River North Transit LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Via Transportation, contingent on the corporate council review of the contract terms, and to authorize the transit system manager to work with the River North Transit LLC to finalize and continuously modify as necessary the surface parameters of the MATS microtransit program for a 3-year period not to exceed price of $2,705,611. TR 21/03-13 to authorize MATS to extend its operation of the temporary reserve a ride program until July 31st, 2021. Also TR 21/03-14 to authorize MATS to remove the bus number 0703 from the roster of active revenues vehicles and to permit MATS to dispose of the bus in a future vehicle equipment auction to be conducted using county surplus goods procedures or a scrap sale if the buyer is not found at the auction. Last item was TR 21/03-15 to authorize MATS to transfer ownership of MATS minivans 1303 through 1309 and small buses 1904 and 925 to Saginaw Transit Authority stars not using the MDOT vehicle transfer process. I do want to make all the commissioners aware, we made these a little bit longer to get them a little bit more detailed than what in the past, and I apologize for the time, but we have those motions in front of you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
I
Thank
move
you.
motions 09 through 15.
Okay, so we have a motion been supported by Commissioner Huggins Wright
Wilkins.
and Commissioner Wilkins. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, we'll do a roll call. Linda, please roll call vote on 9 through 15.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes,
on all,
yes on all, yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No on 12 and 13, yes on the rest.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 9, no on 10, yes on 11, no on 12, no on 13, yes on 14, yes on 15.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on all. Thank you.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Heavy Right,
Yes on all.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all. Okay. um,
I have 9 on 09, 8 yes, 1 no on 10, 9 on 11, 7 yes on 12, 2 no, 7 yes on 13, 2 no, 9 on 14, and 9 on 15.
Thank you, Linda. Okay. The next report is the Ways and Means Committee, and the chairman of that committee is Kim Seer. Commissioner Seer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on March 23rd, 2021, and it was recommended that I move on items WM 21/03-27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35.
Support.
Okay, we've had a motion, been supported. Is there any comments on any of these motions? Okay, seeing no comment. Linda, I hope you have enough slips with you today. Roll
I
call,
sure
please.
do. I sure
Okay.
do. Commissioner Larry,
No on 31, yes on the rest.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
No on 30 and 31, and yes on the rest.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Heavy Right,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes on all.
Twenty-seven, 9 yes. 28, 9 yes. 29, 9 yes. 30, 8 yes, 1 no. 31, 7 yes, 2 no. 32, 9 yes. 33, 9 yes. And 34, 9 yes.
5.
There's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, and 35, 9 yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Okay, excellent report, Mr. Seer. All right, so the next item, moving ahead, is the chairman's report and any committee liaison reports. I'll go ahead and do the chairman's report. First, I have the Health West Board reappointments, terms through March 31st, 2024. Stephanie Umlor and Thomas Hardy. And then there are the Health West Board reappointments, terms through March 31st, 2025. Janet Thomas, Jeff Fortenbacher, and Dr. Remington Sprague. I don't remember. Do we need to vote on these?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So I'll make the motion for those reappointments. I need support.
Support.
Or
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
may I?
Yes, Mr. Seer, go ahead.
Just curious how these appointments are made. Are they made by someone in the Health West Board? Do you make them? Who makes these?
Well, these are all reappointments. So these, every one of these people had already served on the Health West Board, and there is an application process for that, and we do advertise it. I don't know, Mark or Kathy, do you want to talk about that process?
The process, if we received these from the director of obviously Julie Rupp from Health West to reappoint these. Whether or not there's applications on ones that they want reappointment, to defer that to Kathy or Julia. But as far as if they wanted a reappointment, they just move forward with reappointment.
The Health West Board has a nominating committee. They complete the applications, and when there's a vacancy, we go out to the community and seek applications, and then we submit them to the board chair.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, yeah.
Thank you, Julia.
Okay, Commissioner Seer, does that answer?
Good, thank you.
I know some of these people, and I just would like to, for example, Jeff Fortenbacher was, he still is, I think, the executive in charge of Access Health. Remington Sprague was the medical director for the whole Mercy Hospital system, and I'm proud to say was my family doctor before he became famous. And he's an excellent person. So we have a motion.
I was just curious what the process was. Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess we need another roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes to all.
Commissioner Pago,
no on all.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Laring,
No on all.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes on all.
7 yes, 2 no.
Okay. Are there any committee liaison reports that any of the commissioners would like to report to the board at this point? Any of the other committees you serve on?
Mr. Chair, I have a report.
Okay, Mr. Laring, go ahead.
The Veterans Advisory Board met today, actually this morning, and they have two items I think will interest the board. Last year, the board approved a fundraiser for the veterans to do a 5K run to benefit the food bank at the veterans. It was canceled. It was supposed to be in April. It was canceled last year. And as of this year, they have named it. It's going to be the Congressional Medal of Honor 5K run. However, they are postponing it from April to a later date, hopefully yet this year. They haven't picked that date. They're going to wait to see what the governor does. Secondly, the board voted this morning unanimously to support the changing of the fixed route service to incorporate the veterans, the state veterans out by the airport. So they voted in favor of that for a fixed route service to contend out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Laring. Anybody else? If not, then that'll complete that item. We'll move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Eisenbarth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 items for consideration today. The first one is to move to authorize the continuation of the federal work share program and staff furlough at a minimum of 20% per week, 8 hours per week at the discretion of the director.
So
So
moved.
moved. Support.
Second.
Okay. So a motion has been made to authorize the continuation of the work share program. And it's been supported. Is there any other comments or
Mr. Chair,
questions
I have a
about that?
comment.
Yes, Mr. Laren, go ahead.
So my issue was the same when it came up. I just want to address my concerns with this. If we have employees that are not needed 40 hours a week, they either need to go to part-time or be laid off. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I
I
would
have a
make.
question if I could, Bob.
Yes, go ahead, Susie.
It says any savings achieved resulting in a favorable budget outcome will be transferred to the budget stabilization fund and tracked by each department. Will that stay in that department? Or will
Yeah, the
that,
idea is a great question because it extends much greater than just the work share program. Any department that can save funds throughout the year, we normally put it back into an unassigned fund balance and they lose that. So there's really no incentive for a department head and their employees to try to save dollars because they might lose it at the end of the year. So I've talked this over a couple of years with different commissioners, and I'm hearing it's come up again with the new commissioner about ways to help our departments save dollars. And this is an opportunity where if they don't spend the dollars, they don't feel like they have to spend everything between September 1st, not everything, but the remaining dollars through September 1st and September 30th. So the idea is to create this budget stabilization fund, and I'll be bringing another motion later to actually create this fund, this bucket.
I
Thank you.
really like that, Mark. I think that's
Okay.
really an incentive not to waste money at the end of the year just to get it out of your budget. I like that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for looking into that. I think it rewards fiscal responsibility with the administrators, and the directors. So thank you.
Marcia,
Thank
did you
you.
have a question?
No.
No, okay. Also just for everyone's information, they don't necessarily have to take that furlough day. If there's more work than they can get done, and it could be one day, it could be however they want it to work so they can get the work done that needs to be done. Is that, Mark, do you want to add anything to that?
No, you're exactly correct. I mean, it could be one day a month, it could be 4 days a month. I mean, it really works well with the director and the employee as well, especially right now where some of the schools are now back to remote learning through spring break. So it does help more than just us here at the county. It also helps the employee.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'm just reading this. Through Federal CARES Act, employees receiving Muskegon unemployment benefits will receive $300 federal payment per week until September 2021. What has that got to do with the furlough? I'm really confused here. Sorry.
Sure. If they take a minimum of 8 hours or more, so if they're 8 hours furloughed or 40 hours furlough, the CARES Act compensates that loss of $300 per week, but they have to participate in the work share program. You just don't get it just because you sign up for it. You actually have to participate in it. And that's beyond the unemployment for that one day. So for example, 1 day unemployment on average is around $76, right? So
Okay.
they get the normal state unemployment of $76, plus they get the $300 for the federal CARES Act dollar.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure. I've had several people that have gotten some of this extended money from the feds, and I have found out that in several cases, several people that I talked to were, and I don't know if this act is where that happens, but who was getting extended unemployment benefits, that they were reluctant to go back to work because of the extra money they were getting. So that was just something that I've had a couple of people that I've talked to, and they said, why should I go back to work? I make more money now than I ever did, you know? So I don't know if that relates to this act, but that's just some comments I've heard.
And that also helps. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because it's up to the director when they need to come back to work. When they get busy, if they're busy, they need work to be completed. So we're leaving it up to the director to decide when they are allowed to participate and when they need to be back to work. It's not up to the employee.
Okay, well, we have a motion. It's been supported. I guess we'll need a roll call vote on this. Linda?
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
No,
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
6 yes, 3 no.
Okay, Mark, you have more?
Yes, the second one is to move to adopt the signature resolution authorizing the director administrator of Muskegon County to execute and sign the Michigan Department of Transportation Services Master Agreement 2017 and 2014 on behalf of the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Or
All right, we have a motion. It's been supported. This is pretty much routine. Are there any questions?
Can we get an explanation of this, please?
yeah, I don't know what that's about either.
Yes, any agreements that the airport has with transportation, or MAS for that matter, transportation, that they need a signature. Commissioner Hughes signed that. Before her, it was back to administration. Commissioner Board Chair Skolnick asked if I could do it, and I'm willing to do this. So it is routine. It's just a matter of who signs it. Sometimes it's the board chair, sometimes it's the administrator.
So could I continue with my question? Mr. Chair?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
So one, I would suggest that this is the chair's responsibility, not necessarily the administration. Secondly, did I hear you say this is an agreement with NATS and the airport?
It's the agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation, which Department of Transportation is over both the airport and MAS.
All right, so I would suspect that that would suggest that the airport and NATS, we don't even supply, at the current time, there is no bus service to the airport. All right, end of my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion that's been supported. Linda, another roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes,
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Okay, thank you. All right.
My last
Go ahead.
item
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
is move to approve the added language of the intergovernmental contract, the Lakeshore Regional Entity for Substance Abuse Treatment and Services through December 31st, 2022, and authorize the county administrator to sign.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have this motion. We've had the county's corporate counsel review this, and he didn't see any reason really why we needed to do it, but it wasn't going to hurt anything. Mike, you're on the call. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, so the language that we're talking about is the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. But prior to that, there's a provision in there that says the Oversight Policy Board shall comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and rules, including and without limitation. So those are things like the Open Meetings Act, Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, which has now been included, and the Freedom of Information Act. So I don't view this as a substantial departure from the compliance with all applicable laws, regulations, and rules.
Okay, thank you,
I have
thank you.
a question, if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr.
Again,
Lerner.
back to who typically would have signed these in the past? Doesn't the board chair sign these in the past, these agreements?
No, actually, this one here has all the county administrators signing off on it. Yes, last time I looked at it, that's what I had on there.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda, roll call, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That ends my report.
Was that unanimous? Wow. Okay.
Miracles do happen.
Okay. Next item is unfinished business. I don't know, Mark, do we need to do anything about A?
No, A, you don't, you already passed that under 10 TR 21-03-10.
Okay, so item A is moved at this point. That was there in case there was questions about it. The next item is B. It's an update from the Veterans Manager, Mike Bow, regarding TR 21/03-16. It was this TR 21/03-16 was tabled unanimously at the Transportation Committee on March 11th, 2021 to a date certain of March 30th, 2021. The motion was as follows. It was moved by Commissioner Laring, supported by Commissioner Pego, to reroute the MATS bus to go by the Veterans Facility and out to the airport. Mark, is Mike on the call?
Yes, Mike, I invited Mike to this meeting. Please unmute Mike. Bow.
Hello, Commissioners.
Hello.
This is Mike Bow, Muskegon County Veterans Department. Just giving you a summary. I mean, I'm definitely not the transportation guy. I was asked back in early March, to find out and make a statement possibly if there was a need to have public transportation to the VA clinic. So I did reach out to a prior intake supervisor at the VA Muskegon Clinic. She had informed me that the center or the clinic services 5,000 veterans a month, and roughly 10% of them were using the public transportation system. So based on that statement, I made a statement that said that even though we have a van and we have volunteers, and we are running 5 days a week with that van, we certainly can't get rides 500 to 500 veterans a month. And I said that I would support such a thing if MATS had funding for it. After that, I received a request from Mark Eisenbarth to reach out to Hiram Zayas. Hiram Zayas is in public affairs over at the VA Battle Creek Clinic. And I had to ask some questions. I think you have the email trail with you, but I had asked the questions if the transportation requirements in Muskegon, as well as the future expansion of the Muskegon CBOC, were tied together. I asked what their future plans were. He couldn't define that. But most importantly, what he did reply with was that public transportation is an important factor that is definitely taken into account when considering locations for our outpatient clinics. So presently, they're still leasing that building, but their lease expires on in 2022, and they're working on what they're going to do. But definitely, public transportation is one of those needs. So I did reply. I did reply to him that we do have a van and we do transport veterans to and from, and that even though the bus is not going to is not on the route to go to the VA clinic, that MATS is working on a new system, which was on topic today. And he was comfortable with understanding that. And then, of course, with that said, I'll repeat what Commissioner Laring said on the same topic. I had announced that I was speaking to you tonight to our Veterans Advisory Committee, and they made a motion and unanimously voted for us to the Veterans Advisory Committee supports a fixed route system with transportation to the VA clinic.
Okay, so do we need to do anything? Well, this motion was tabled, and it was tabled to come
Mr.
back.
Chair.
Tabled to come back today. Yes.
Mr.
but
Chair, I make a motion to bring the motion back to the board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been supported to bring this motion back.
To remove
And-
the table.
Right.
Remove
okay,
from the table, bring it back to the board. Mhm.
Okay.
Do we have to take a vote to bring it
yeah,
back?
Linda, go ahead and do a roll call on that too.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Javi Wright,
No.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay. So it's
Mr.
now
Chair.
this motion is back in front of us. Yes, okay.
Question,
I've got something I want to say too, but go ahead, Commissioner Seer.
I guess my question is, we want to have another fixed route out to this facility out near the airport. I understand that that's what this is saying. My question, I guess, was the same as before we tabled this thing, was that will micro transit take care of the need out there when that thing is implemented here in, what is it, June or July? I guess I'm not sure when it's going to start, but
Is
Not for over a year.
Mark, is Jim Coons on the call?
Yes, he is.
Jim?
Please unmute Jim.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, just tell us who you are, Jim.
Yep, Jim Coons, Manager of the Muskegon Area Transit System for the County of Muskegon. Commissioner Seer, your question regarding microtransit, it is our intent that as the microtransit program goes live this summer, that it will include this area. And persons that are seeking to access the Veterans Clinic, the airport, or anything in that area will have that access on demand using the microtransit program.
Thank you.
Marcia?
Sure, yes. I think, I'm all for, transportation is critical for this clinic. I agree. But I think it's being taken care of when we have the minivan that runs 5 days a week. And in July or June, we'll have the micro transit. Once we start opening up to expanding bus routes, fixed bus routes, it sort of opens a can of worms. And I think that's a mistake. We're trying to make this bus system be financially viable, and I don't think that's wise to open this up when the need is being met for transportation to the Veterans Clinic.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that me, Commissioner Laring?
Yes, I'm sorry. Commissioner Laring,
Yep.
go ahead.
Thank you. So the Veterans Administration has said they have 500 rides potentially per month, not potentially, they say for 10% of their clients. The micro transit cannot supply those number of rides during the daytime hours that the Veterans Administration is open. Secondly, there's already a bus stop there. It never got taken down. Thirdly, this would give access to our residents to the airport that we're trying to revitalize. Thirdly, this is a major industrial park in the community of Norton Shores. There's significant numbers of our residents that don't have a ride to work and could be working in this industrial park. We've heard from all of the businessmen in this community that are finding it difficult to get entry-level employees into their factories and their businesses. So this would provide a threefold strategy. I'd provide employees to these desperately needed jobs that are open, access to the airport, and to the Veterans Administration at the rate of potentially, they're already saying they have 5,000 veterans per month and 10% of them ride mass. There is no way that microtransit during the busiest time of the day can supply 500 rides a month to one location. Thank you.
All right,
I have a
who
question
else?
too, Bob, if I could.
Yes, Susie, go ahead.
I'd like to, Jim, I'd like to know from you if you can tell me what the cost would be for this and what the estimated amount of riders would be.
Commissioner Hughes, I can't speak to the estimated number of riders presently. The numbers that have been spoken of here was not our experience when we were operating that route in that area. That's not to say there isn't potential. Regarding the cost, it depends on how we would address this. So if there's a route realignment that can be done and still maintain the integrity of the new network that we've just deployed, we'll consider that. If there's not a realignment of those routes that can be worked out logistically within the time schedules that are available, we may have to add a vehicle or a route, which can be $120,000 to $150,000 a year, depending on how many hours a day it operates, et cetera.
And would, I mean, I'm guessing that the appointments are like every 15 minutes. How often would a bus run out there?
Well, the most frequently we have on our routes now is once per hour anywhere, so I would not expect it to be more frequent than that.
Okay.
On a route.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I have a follow-up question.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Laring.
So this is probably directly to Mr. Coons. We already have a bus running out to the mall. It goes down Heil Road, correct? We're just one block north of that or south of that to go to Sternberg and still could stay on the same route. Is that not correct?
There is a route that goes to the area of Heil and Grand Haven Road, and it ends down by Grand Haven Road and North Gateway. The most logical step for that route, if we were to do this, would be to continue from North Gateway up to the airport again. But that adds probably at least about 15 minutes or more to that route, which then begins to break down all of your connections at the Herman Ivory terminal. So we would likely have to cut something else from the route to make those timings work. I've not analyzed every detail of it. The existing routing was the result of the study, and we did not extend it up into that area. I would presume, without going back to the consultant and to the data, that we could not do so within the 1 hour out and back timeframe.
Okay, is there any, I just want to add my little 2 cents worth here. I am a 4-year veteran, active duty, service in Vietnam, service in Korea, and there's nobody more supportive of our veterans than I am. I'm fortunate in that I don't need the VA, and I was never hurt or wounded, and I don't need these services, but I certainly understand how important they are. And I am very much in favor of having, if we need buses to get out to that clinic, then there will be buses, whatever it takes. My only problem with it is if we don't need them right now, we don't, like, when that clinic gets going, we'll do it. Because if I remember right, at the last meeting when we discussed this, Jim Coons said there was like 1 person a day or 2 people a day riding out there.
Yeah.
And the veterans have a brand new van that was donated by My Import Auto, and they have drivers. I'm not against this at all, but if nobody's going to ride the bus, why do it? Jim, what did you say about ridership the last time?
Yeah, what I stated last time was based on a couple of the sample surveys that we had done prior to the route study and during the route study data collection. And we were not seeing that level of ridership. I think one of the samples, it was one person per day to that stop, and another one was up to 5 passengers per day. If I may add, one of the beauties of microtransit that we expect to, one of the benefits, I should say, that we expect to see is that we will collect with our partner who's providing the service, we'll be able to collect a lot of data. So if we are seeing that this area is pulling that type of ridership or sustaining that level, we can certainly come in and look at future alternatives to provide a route or to look at other options. So it's just a matter of the timing and what's the best solution today versus down the road when we have more data related to that.
I have another question if I could, Bob.
Yes, yes.
And
Mrs.
I do
Hughes.
too.
Okay, go ahead.
Do we know if the clinic is even open right now and serving people?
Yes.
Or are they are?
Commissioner Hughes, this is Mike Bow.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
Yes, the clinic is open. It's
Okay.
been open. It's been earlier on in the COVID. It's a little lighter, but no, they're still seeing people every single day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, yes.
just another comment, following up on what I said before. I mean, from what Mr. Kuhn says, the need is being met at this point between the van and certainly even more so when we get the microtransit. And so I think we should put off any changes to the route system until we can justify the need. I mean, transit for VATS is a critical thing. I agree. But we don't need it now.
Okay, so is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? The motion on
Mr. Chair, I was
the-
just gonna echo
Yeah.
the same comments. You know, it's very important that we provide services for our community and especially for our veterans. But when you look at this, to change a fixed route, I believe takes a lot of time, study, and we need to look at those numbers. And we're already in a course of moving our transportation in a way that it should be able to supply a lot of support. And until we're able to see that, I think it would be not a good thing for us to jump ahead and start changing other routes until we can see the need that is there. I'm more happy to help our veterans do whatever we need them to do. But I have a feeling that between what the Muskegon County Veterans Service is providing and between the microtransit and what we currently have in transportation in Muskegon County will probably be sufficient. And if it's not, we can look at that again. But I think to move ahead without any type of study and understanding what this really would entail would probably be not wise.
You know, I'd like to make the suggestion also, the person that's closest to this is probably Mike Bow. I mean, he's in the Veterans Service Center every day with his staff. He gets the calls when people need help getting out there. And I'd like to just put this off for a while. I don't think anybody is against this. Just, this is too soon. That's all. And Mike could keep us alerted to when it's time to do something.
Mr. Chair, I have one follow-up comment, if I may.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Larry, please.
So the Veterans Administration has already announced that they have an RFP for a location. I think the letter that Mike read suggests that a fixed route bus service is part of the criteria in their search. They currently don't have that. And they are considering a larger operation. So their lease agreement's up in 2022. They're looking for a location on a fixed route bus. If we can't provide that, we may lose that service in Muskegon County.
Okay, is there anybody else? We've still got a
Mr.
ways.
Chair,
Yes,
I'm thinking
Charles.
that
Just another comment.
some of that might be a little bit more embellished than anything. There's no guarantee that we're going to get any building out there. This is just all hypothetical. Again, we definitely need to serve our veterans, but it's a little too early for that. And I find it awful interesting that a commission that's been constantly trying to kill the match system is now trying to get a fixed route change for the veterans. Just interesting to me.
So I'd like to follow up to that comment.
Okay.
If you want to,
Go ahead, Mr. Laring.
So if the commissioners are going to manage the route, this is what you get. If we move it to administration, then somebody else manages it. You've got this involved in a political turmoil because we're managing it. We shouldn't be managed it. That's why I'm trying to turn it over to another organization, particularly in a transit authority in the county, so that we're not meddling in this. But this is what happens when you play political football with a entity that we shouldn't be managing.
Okay, so right at the moment, this TR 21/03-16 is what we're discussing. A motion has been made, it was supported, so we'll vote. Linda, we need a roll call vote on this item.
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
No.
Commissioner Hughes,
No.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
No.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
No.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick.
No.
4 yes, 5 no.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, yes.
before we move out of unfinished business, our attorney, Mike Lemire, had a follow-up answer to one of the questions on whether or not hotel tax is part of the fruit port collection tax. I would like him to explain that, just so I forgot to bring that up, and I know it was a discussion and question. I just want to make sure we're completely understanding how that hotel tax works.
Okay. Mr. Homier?
Yeah, thank you. So the question was raised at the committee level about whether or not there would be capture of the accommodations tax that the county levies by ordinance adopted, I believe, in 2013. And the statute's not real clear. The statute refers to some specific local taxes that are not included. So what we've done, what we've proposed, and I just wanted to advise the county, the motion was to approve the agreement subject to review and approval of corporate counsel. And so what I've done is I've provided a proposed addition to that agreement, which makes clear that the accommodations tax would not be subject to the capture of the DDA under their TIF plan. So just to clarify that, again, I don't think that it is, but the statute's not altogether clear. So we've made it clear that the accommodations tax would not be subject to capture.
Okay, well, that's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank Mike for that, because that was my concern with it not being as clear as it was. Would we lose that? But I'm glad that you put that into the language.
All right, anybody, if nobody else, we'll move on to new business. Does anyone have any new business?
Mr. Chair, wasn't that DDA up for approval today?
We voted on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, that was already approved.
Yep, thank you.
Any new business? Okay, then.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mrs. Pago.
can I make a motion, or I'm going to make a motion? I gotta look for the, for our Muskegon County Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution in support, in like the Sheboygan County Resolution supporting Senate Bill 1, 2021.
Second.
I have no idea what that is.
It was the Sheboygan County Resolution in our packet today, our correspondences. Do you want me to read it?
It's in our packet.
Okay.
I would like to
where
comment on that.
many counties in the state of Michigan have passed resolutions opposing orders unilaterally issued by Governor Whitmer and various state agencies in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Sheboygan County wishes to voice our solidarity with the other counties in the state in opposing orders unilaterally issued by Governor Whitmer and the various state agencies in response to COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas supports measures to combat COVID-19, such as following a social distancing recommendations, health screenings for employees and customers, promoting healthy hygienic practices, and encouraging individuals that are considered high risk to continue to self-quarantine, adhere to the recommendations established by the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, whereas Senate Bill 1 would amend the Public Health Code to require an emergency public health order issued by the Director of Health Department and Human Services to include information about the rationale for the order, to limit the effectiveness of such order to 28 days unless the legislator approves an extension, and to prohibit a new emergency order that addresses the same epidemic as an earlier order without legislative approval. Now therefore be it resolved that Sheboygan County supports the adoption of Senate Bill 1, 2021 by the legislator and governor to ensure that orders issued to combat COVID-19 are subject to checks and balances. I would like us to adopt that resolution for Muskegon County, and we have a second.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mrs. Hovey Wright.
Yeah, I keep losing my light. Sorry, it's motion detected. I'm trying to get it back on. Anyway, I oppose this resolution and the ones following B, C, and D because it encourages lawlessness in our state. The governor is trying to limit the spread of COVID in a number of different ways, and it's supported by the Department of Public Health, or the State Department. These are disrespectful, and it's frankly just political gamesmanship, and I'm kind of sick of it. We keep hearing it over and over again, the same thing from counties that are 100% Republican, this is not what the majority of people think.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
Nor is it appropriate.
Mr. Laren.
Well, it might be a question for my commissioner, or for Commissioner Marcia Hovey Wright. I'm not sure how supporting a Senate bill promotes lawlessness. In fact, I would say it's quite to the contrary. It would stop the lawlessness of our governor.
Amen.
Okay. I think we need to vote on this. Linda, could we have a roll call vote? Because there's 114 people on the call, many waiting to speak.
Can I, sorry, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure and point out your board rules. The board rules govern motions on things of this nature, and there are two sections. One is section 1 on motions and sections. This is under Rule 6 of the board motions. And what that says is that except in the case of a motion that is deemed an emergency matter by a vote of at least 2/3 of the commissioners elected and serving, no commissioner may make any motion, and the board will not consider action on any motion on any substantive county matter or issue, excluding staff recommended matters, routine county matters, and resolutions, proclamations, and tribute requests under section 2, unless the subject matter of the motion has first been referred to a committee for consideration and recommendation by that committee. The chairperson of the board shall decide whether a matter is substantive for purposes of this section, subject to appeal pursuant to section 8. Section 2 of that same rule says, resolutions, proclamations, and tribute requests submitted by commissioners or the public will not be acted upon by the Board of Commissioners at the time presented unless time sensitive. All such requests will be referred for chair/vice chair/administrative review and for recommendation to the board at a later date regarding A, consideration of the request at a future regular board meeting, or B, receipt of the request as information only.
Okay, so if I'm understanding what you're saying, then this motion is out of order.
What I think that you can view this one of two ways, either as a substantive county issue, which I don't necessarily think that it is, but that's not for me to decide. That is up to the board chair to decide. And then the second issue is, even if it is a resolution or proclamation in that regard, Section 2 states that the commissioners, the Board of Commissioners will not act on that at the time presented unless time sensitive. So I don't know whether it is or is not time sensitive, just pointing out the applicable rules.
Okay, so should we, how would you recommend we handle this then?
Well, I think that unless it is time sensitive, that it is not a substantive county matter, then it would, the request would be referred for chair, vice chair / administrative review and recommendations to the board at a later date. So that would occur, I presume, at your next board meeting upon that referral and review by the chair, vice chair, and the administrator.
I believe we have a motion on the floor in a second.
We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. I would just as soon vote on it, but Mike, is there any reason we can't vote on it?
No, I don't believe there's any reason that you can't vote on it, particularly if you determine that it's not a substantive matter pursuant to Section 1 of that rule.
Okay, I do not think it's
Mr.
substantive.
Chair, I would ask that we could postpone this and refer it to committee.
Well, it's just gonna spend more time on it.
Well, at least we'll have time to go through it instead of just having it abruptly brought up. It's not an emergency or anything.
Not time sensitive.
Okay, then I
That's a
will,
matter of opinion. It's over a year past due.
well, do I have is it within my prerogative to refer this to the Health and
I can
Human
bring it back
Services
under
Committee?
courts and public safety.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. We have to vote for another procedure.
That's not what our corporate counsel just said. He said it was up to the chair to make the decision.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm making a decision. I want to vote on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Linda, roll call, please.
Please restate. the
Commissioner
motion.
Hughes?
Please restate the motion.
I'm making a motion for Muskegon County Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution like the Sheboygan County resolution supporting Senate Bill 1/2021 that was in our packet, the resolution that I just read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask, what do you mean by like?
That we would copy this resolution into Muskegon County, that we support this resolution.
So if I understand that correctly, we would take out Sheboygan County and insert Muskegon County.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, Linda, roll call, please. It'd be the same resolution that was adopted by Sheboygan County.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say that if this was to pass, I would definitely like for it to say the vote by each name on this resolution.
And I'm fine with that.
They always do.
Commissioner Hughes,
No,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
No.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. I'm sorry, was that a no?
Or a yes?
I think she
Which-
said no.
No.
I got it the second time, thank you. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Sear,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
No.
Chairman Skolnick.
No.
4 yes, 5 no.
Okay. You know, I would point out that Sheboygan has a total population of 4,700 people, and it's all one party. And this is an urban community with not one city with a population that small. All right, so moving on, we're going on to public comment now. So all of you, if anybody is waiting, there's 113 people on the call. I don't know how many want to speak. You need to raise your hand. Should be a button, or if you're on a phone, *6. There'll be a timer up on the screen. You have 2 minutes, and we are going to hold to that just because of the sheer number of people. So Kathy, are you ready with the timer? Let her get that up, and okay, here we go. Mr. Bulow, you're first up. Andrew Bulow, you're muted. You're gone.
Thank you. I'm unmuted. I was trying to put my video on.
Okay.
My name is Andy Bulow, and I'm a resident of Commissioner Wilkins' district. And I want to voice my dismay and outrage at the racist memes shared on Facebook recently by Commissioner Loring. These postings were disappointing, to say the least, and I think they reflect very badly on Mr. Loring. They reflect badly on this commission and on Muskegon County as a whole. And I believe it would be appropriate for Mr. Loring to apologize and for him to be reminded that he represents all the people of Muskegon County, including citizens of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bulow. Mr. Chilcote, you need to unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Muskegon County Director, Kathy Moore, for sharing my questions, answering them. Secondly, I think you need to reconsider about the VA bus stops. I'm sure there's a way we can make that route happen. There are a lot. I briefly looked at the numbers of the residents within that METS system, and there are a lot of citizens that could benefit from that route. So I hope we would look at that. And I also like to comment on the last thing about supporting our legislation. I think we do need to support our legislation against tyranny, which is using the pandemic as to close our businesses when it's not necessarily the best thing to do for our community. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Schmidt. You have to unmute.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to call on the commissioners of Muskegon County to officially denounce Commissioner Loring's Facebook posts that are not only racist, but they are homophobic, transphobic, misogynist, xenophobic, and he also posted a post that described President Biden as a retard. That word is highly offensive. I call on Commissioner Wright to formally introduce a motion to condemn this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Karen Palmer, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. This is Karen Palmer. I've been reading about the Amistad Project, which is about investigating and sometimes filing lawsuits related to the November 2020 election. They've been publicizing how Mark Zuckerberg used nonprofit organizations to funnel money into local elections all over the country. And this is illegal because it was biased toward the Democrats, Democratic candidates in this particular election. I heard that this was done here, and specifically at least in Muskegon City. So I asked our county clerk to notify the public whether and how these contracts were made, if indeed they were, and to do so well before the May election. This would go a long way to establishing transparency and trust in our election process. If something illegal was done, even knowingly, it needs to be addressed. This is the duty of the county clerk in Muskegon County to inform the public of what is happening in our elections. And I think we need to find an answer to this. If there's a rumor going around about something that wasn't done, we need to know. If there was a rumor going around that wasn't done, then we need to know and clarify. If it was, then we need to root out that any illegality and clarify the future elections so that we can maintain a safe and secure election for people that we can have confidence in. I yield.
Okay, thank you very much. Donna Pennington, please.
Pretend to call me.
Go ahead, Donna.
This is Donna Pennington, 1418 Lakeshore. I worked in a high school for 25 years, and we worked hard to teach students to tell the truth and behave in a civilized manner and not to bully or make fun of others, with our goal being to live together in a civilized society. These basic standards for how we will treat one another are being disregarded by Commissioner Laring on a regular basis. And even more importantly, a visit to his Facebook page will take you to post after post of racially charged material, not only about the white balls hitting the colored balls, but insulting to Michelle Obama, Commissioner Nash on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and also perpetrating the myth of election fraud and other conspiracy theories. The Department of Homeland Security and other federal intelligence agencies have stated, most recently in a report released this month by our Director of National Intelligence, that the United States is facing an increased threat of violent domestic terrorism, and that social media posts such as Commissioner Laring's drive increased radicalization and mobilization to violence. Commissioner Laring's posts are dangerous, irresponsible, and divisive, and I join in the calls for his resignation. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Carrie Knight, and you'll have to unmute, please.
Hi, I'm Kerry Knight, Dalton Township. I'm also trustee here in Dalton Township. I want to say that, number one, Zach Laring was accused of going down to Washington, D.C. on that day, January 6th. And I want to say right now, I was with him in Lansing. And we had a prayer meeting. We listened to Christian music. We listened to some speakers. And knowing him as an individual, he is not a racist. Number one, let's get that straight on the board here. He's very, very accepting of everybody. He is not, his humor is different. Understand that. People want to sit there and criticize him for his opinions. They're just that. We live in America, people. We have the right to speak our mind, whether you agree with it or not. You have the right to disagree. We have the right to agree and also disagree with you. So keep that in mind, people. This is America, and we need to make sure that we follow that dictate that what we are here for. We are following the First Amendment, and Zach Laring has his own opinions, and we need to respect that. I also want to make sure that people understand that I am a war veteran. I fought in Desert Storm, and people are really using this veterans place. Every time I go into the clinic, it's full. So please look and maybe transit, maybe fit this in there. We got to find some way of making it happen. And also, I wish that we would take up the Sheboygan laws of what this traitor governor has been doing. And she's wrong. The Supreme Court voted against her, and she needs to be held accountable for what she's been doing to this state. And I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, Josie James, please. And Josie, you'll have to unmute.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to make commentary. And my commentary involves Commissioner Laring as well. You know, here we are in the 21st year of the 21st century, and there are elected officials right here in Muskegon County who would mock historical racial issues using public social media. The citizens of the United States voted out a president that courted and enabled some of the most racist groups in America, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. These groups were not only racist, are not only racist, but violent, and are intent on destroying the most important right of our country, our vote, and therefore the outcome of our elections. It is not a great leap to understand the influence of leaders and the impact of rhetoric. Today, there are state legislators, Michigan included, attempting to resurrect Jim Crow era voting practices. Black people died for the right to vote. So to minimize this and joke about criminal justice practices, namely the murder of Black people by police, is irresponsible and reprehensible. Local elected officials mocking this issue and other issues of racial injustice under law should exercise some restraint in using public social media to minimize the righteous call for equality and treatment under law. Anything else would be tantamount to placing a knee on the neck of democracy and liberty. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Josie. Norm Kittleson, please. Norm, you'll have to unmute.
I'm Norm Kittleson. I'm a resident of Whitehall, and my comments are directed toward Commissioner Laring. Many of your recent posts on social media have been aimed at minority groups, including African Americans, the LGBTQ community, and immigrants, among others. I know you think these posts are a humorous way of poking fun at so-called cancel culture and political correctness, but what you consider to be political correctness, the rest of us call being a decent human being. If you want to talk about cancel culture, then your posts that mock those in minority communities are, in effect, canceling those people who are your constituents. You were telling people that you were elected to represent, that you think of them as being worthy of mockery and humiliation, of being less than. This is unacceptable. I serve the public as an elected official, and I am still involved in local government as a member of governing boards. I take these responsibilities seriously, and I see it as my duty to represent everyone served by these organizations, not just those who look like me or share my sense of sexual identity. To do otherwise would be a violation of my oath of office. You do not serve only the district you represent, or only those in your district who voted for you, or only those in your district who look like you. You serve every resident of Muskegon County, and you are part of the public face of the county. The face you are showing the county is one of ignorance-based fear, and that those who are not just like you are not welcome here. That's not the face those of us in decent society want representing Muskegon County. Diversity is not something to be feared, mocked, and squashed. Diversity is to be celebrated and embraced. Your public statements and social media posts show that you don't value diversity and that you are not interested in representing every resident of Muskegon County. In my opinion, you have violated your oath of office and should resign.
Thank you, Mr. Kittleson. I'm gonna call on one that keeps getting bumped down for some reason. It says BAM organization. You'll have to unmute.
Yeah. Yes, my name is Atianza Smith. I am a part of a social justice organization here in Muskegon, and I'm calling in concerns of Commissioner Zach Laring's consistently racist behaviors and undertones. And not only does he make racist posts on social media, but there's evidence that shows he was a part of the insurrection that took place at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. This is not a person that should be representing Muskegon County or be involved in the decision-making for a community full of BIPOC individuals. We demand that the board addresses Zach Laring's consistently racist behaviors and calls for his immediate resignation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Aaron Young, please. You'll have to unmute.
Yes, I was calling in concerning the November elections of this last year. I guess this comment would be toward the county clerk. Recently, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, we had a judge here in Michigan that ruled against our Secretary of State, stating that she had given all of the county clerks the ability to loosen up looking at the signatures on all the absentee ballots. I guess I would want, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but either the county commissioner board or the county clerk, I would ask to have a forensic audit of Muskegon County to look at all of the absentee ballots to make sure that in this county, we did not follow the advice and just, I mean, basically from what I understand of the absentee ballots, that we can know if those ballots were really truly signed by people is by looking at the signatures. If we have not, if we disregarded, if we followed the advice of the Secretary of State and didn't actually look at those signatures that well, that needs to be looked at. And the only way I know of is a forensic audit. So that's would be my comment today.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Michael Del Percio, please. You'll have to unmute.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. I'm sitting here listening to people talk about cancel culture. Unfortunately, I believe cancel culture is just another fancy way to stifle the First Amendment and try to rewrite our entire society. Anything that seems to go against or opposite view to woke policy is no longer acceptable for free speech. Political correctness is overtaking us. The Washington Redskins, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, Mike Lindell, CEO of My Pillow, Chris Harrison. I could just go J.K. Rowling from the Harry Potter series, Gina Carano, who did the Disney series. All of these people have spoken against the woke policies, and all of these people have a campaign against them to cancel them because the woke policy doesn't like what they have to say. It's unfortunate that our society is in this kind of a situation right now, but they all use the word racist, and I don't think any of them really know what the term racist means. It's really just a form of reverse racism. So they are bespeaking racism more than the people that they say are talking about it themselves. This is just really purely a situation of where our society is going. We're not going to have the First Amendment available to us anymore unless we sit there and agree with the woke policies of the left. And I don't think anybody who speaks out and from their heart really needs to apologize for anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Del Percio. Chris Kyla.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I want to speak to this issue with Zach Laring. A little disturbed that people would come out and try to complain about some of the posts. I saw some of the posts that were put up by BAM and saying that they were racist. I think when you disagree with Omar, Representative Omar, you can have a policy decision or disagreement with her without being a racist. So I don't see that there's much substance to any of these complaints. And I know that Commissioner Laird's pretty racy. He puts up posts that I would never put up, but that's his right to be able to do that. And if you disagree with it or you find it uncomfortable, sometimes I do too, but that doesn't mean that he can't do that. And I think people should get over themselves being offended by things. And a lot of these are making fun of people, and okay, so everybody has a different level of tolerance. But I find this to be a bullying tactic. I don't think it's democratic. I think it would disenfranchise the voters that put him in office. And a person who's against Planned Parenthood, when 40% of the aborted children in this country are minority and Black, when he wants to reduce the tax burden on the poor in this community, and he wants to make government smaller, I don't think these are racist concepts. So I want the bullying to stop. I want people to talk with each other. If you're offended, well, you know, let's do the work that we need to do in this county without wasting our time on things like this. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Next up is Haley, and I can't read, it might be Vanden Bosch, but I can't read it all. Haley?
Hi, it's Vanden Brandon.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's long. I am a resident of Doug Brown's district in Laketon Township. First, I'd like to express my relief that you all have voted against adopting the resolution that Sheboygan County has. And second, I would like to call on commissioners to denounce Laring's racist and QAnon or QAnon adjacent conspiratorial posts on social media. He may have a right to speak his mind, but he is not immune to criticism and consequences, especially as a public servant. These beliefs trickle into the way he votes to run this diverse county, and it is harmful not only to Black and Indigenous people of color, but to all of us. He has shown himself to be unfit for public office. And I also see that he has his video off, and I think that he should show his face while he's being criticized, and he should face his constituents. This isn't about the First Amendment or cancel culture or anything like that. This is about, you know, being a decent person, you know? I don't need to, you just have to go to his Facebook page to see the kind of stuff that he posts. And yeah, like we all know that these things trickle into the way that that you do your job when you're a public servant. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Haley. Next up is Destiny.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Destiny, go ahead.
Thank you for your time. I am just on here. I want to speak to Commissioner Laring. I am a mother of 3 Black sons and a Black husband, in which I fear walking out of my house every single day. I fear him, especially with having a commissioner in which I would believe if I looked far enough in his closet, I'd find a white cloak and hood, just based off of what he stands for on his social media. I don't know him personally, but his social media opens me up to him personally. You are a representative of this community, Mr. Laring, a representative of this community in which Black and brown people also voted for you too. For you to allow yourself to be able to post, and I don't care what any of these people say, everything that you post, you intend to push a button. And we know you intend to push a button. And we're tired of it and we're sick of it. I've held and hold many positions in this community and speak out for Black and brown people. And we're tired of it because we put as much work into this community as white people put into this community. And we want and desire to be respected. I'm looking for the board in which members we also nominated to have him to resign or to remove. I'm highly disappointed that our commissioners, our current commissioners, have not even said anything about anything that he's done. That it shames me. When I share these posts and outside members look, they're shaking their heads too at Muskegon. This is not how Muskegon should be. I've said my piece. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Destiny. Next up is Gemini the Poet. You'll have to unmute, please.
Hello. I go by Gemini the Poet. I'm very active within the community, and I'm also here today to speak on behalf of Zach. As a commissioner, it's disappointing because this is the same commissioner that egged on some of his Republican buddies to try to run us off the road when we were doing a Democratic get out and vote drive around the city. They purposely cut our cars off, purposely tried to run us off the road numerous times. I'm somebody who's tried to have a civil conversation with Mr. Loring, and to no avail. He'll just block you on social media. And for those to say it's freedom of speech, I'm sorry, it's a little bit more to it than just having freedom of speech when you're serving a community that's very diverse, such as Muskegon. Our kids watch. Our kids are sponges and soak up what they see. And there's nothing funny or hilarious or sense of humor or anything regarding his post. They're degrading to our culture. And the fact that he doesn't even respect us enough to have his camera on speaks volumes. So I also am calling for him to either step down or you guys vote him out.
Okay, thank you very much. Bobby Allred, unmute, please. Bobby Allred, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. My name is Brian Allred, and I've just caught some of the comments being made here against Zach, and it's kind of funny how when some folks say that they've never met Zach, and they're judging him by a few posts on Facebook. Well, I've met Zach. He's an honorable man. I've shook his hand. I've had several conversations with him. He looks you square in the face, right in the eye. I don't see anything offensive on his Facebook. And for some people to say that, he's a racist, I don't see that. You just use common sense. Zach is, like I said, he's an honorable man. He has a right to his opinion. I'm just flabbergasted at some of the things I'm hearing from the people, on here. It just doesn't make sense. Take the time and go see Zach. Go meet him, go shake his hand, and have that one-on-one conversation with him before you start throwing stones and casting aspersions, on a good man. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allred. Mike Glancy, please unmute.
Hello, am I unmuted?
You're unmuted. We can hear you fine.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address my commissioners. I have moved here to Michigan because I loved it. I'm originally from Indiana and I've been here in Michigan since 1968 and joined the community. And I met my wife right here in Muskegon. And I just love Muskegon. A couple things that I wanted to address was in regards to the VA and the hospital and the busing. I had a father-in-law right here in Muskegon. He was a Purple Heart recipient. He was wounded in World War II, had both of his legs broken, was in a concentration camp in Germany, and survived all of it. He came back here. His closest VA was Grand Rapids to get any help. And now we finally have something here in our own community to address them and give them help. And I don't know how much all the people that are veterans know about the facility that we have out at the airport, but the word needs to get out to help them and give them transportation and a way to get there. My father was also in World War II and served at Iwo Jima, and he had benefits from the VA back in Indiana. It was amazing that he had it right there in his hometown, and his town was no bigger than Muskegon. We need to help our veterans and serve them. So please reconsider your vote. Hopefully it'll come up again and we can address it.
Okay, your time is up, Mike. Thank you very much. I have Teresa, it just says Teresa E. Teresa, you're going to have to unmute and it's your turn.
Hi, I'm Teresa Schwiller. I was just calling to express my disappointment in the commission for voting against the resolutions that Commissioner Pago brought forth. The tyranny coming from Lansing needs to be stopped, and your votes to continue the one-woman dictatorship are appalling. I also wanted to stand behind Commissioner Laring. He was not in DC, he was in Lansing. If all these people with their cancel culture would have done their homework, they would know this. He is not racist. You only see what you want to see and only seek to cancel what you don't agree with. If all these people would take the time to meet Mr. Laring, they would find out he is not racist. It's really easy to sling that word around when you're not face to face with somebody and you're behind a computer screen. So I would encourage all these people to take that time and go meet him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Next up is something called Health Freedom. Unmute, please.
I thank you, Commissioner. My name is Maya Khan. I am a speech pathologist and an specialist, and I am a huge advocate.
We can't hear you. Unfortunately, I think we've lost her. If you can.
Lives reputation of good people in order to push a political agenda. Commissioner Laring is not a racist, nor do the things he has said online prove he hates people with special needs. I know Zach. I know his character and his feelings towards people of color and people with special needs, and this attack is unwarranted. And when you use the word racism as a weapon, you are doing all people a disservice, but especially the Black and brown community. Hate comes in all colors. Pushing a hateful agenda, including using political correctness to suppress free speech and hurt those that want to uphold our First Amendment rights, is destroying our community and our country. Enough is enough. Just stop. Cancel culture is destroying our nation. Just stop. Can't we just come together? Enough of the hate. We are all Americans. We are a loving and generous nation. The examples that you all have used to call Commissioner Laring a racist in no way justifies this horrible accusation of calling him a racist. Who wants to live in a society where people are so afraid to speak? To simply be themselves, knowing that they are not hateful people, but they walk on eggshells for concerns of being attacked and judged and canceled? Who wants to live like that? And what kind of a society is that? It certainly doesn't feel like a free and open society anymore if we can't simply speak the way we normally speak. Please stop the bullying, stop destroying the lives of people. We should not have to toe the line just to be able to get along. Also, I'm also very disappointed with the decision of the commission today to vote against the resolution. I am flabbergasted that you have not looked yourself at the science. You haven't demanded the science from the health department and from the executive branch to actually see that the mandates they've been putting on our state are unhealthy. I now personally know 4 children that have attempted suicide and 1 that has succeeded because of the mandates put on by our state. Enough is enough.
Okay, thank you very much. Tim Klein, unmute, please.
All right, let's see if I can do this. All right, this is Tim Klein, and as I've already stated, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, resident of Norton Shores and of Muskegon County since 2006. Commissioner Skolnick, as my commissioner for the Norton Shores area, I asked you at the beginning of this meeting to adopt a resolution like Sheboygan had and for Senate Bill number 1. And as a tie-breaking vote, oh man, did you fail your county by not listening to me or several other people on this conversation? I would say shame on you. I heard your logic. I found it incredibly myopic in nature. Yes, Sheboygan is small. That was just one. Dude, there have been like a whole bunch within the state of Michigan. What more do you want? I ask you, for what sign are you looking for to an end to this tyranny of our governing? If you can't get the courage to do what is necessary, I personally ask for your resignation, or I at least ask for reconsideration in this matter. It's time you stood up. Do what is right to the board. Please know that domestic terror organizations such as BLM and Antifa have no place in our society. And yes, these are both at $2 billion plus in damages. That makes them domestic terror organizations. I submit that the facts are showing themselves. And to state that groups like, oh, I don't know, the Proud Boys are racist is just flat out ignorance. Just look at the fact that the Proud Boys have a Latino president as their organization from the start. So obviously, in many people's eyes here, it has come across as a white power organization, which makes no sense. For those that are frustrated by racial disparity with our community, I ask you, what have you done at home to stop this behavior? I don't believe that the color of your skin, the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, it shouldn't matter. We're all just human. And as that, I pray for everyone's safety, and I extend my love to those that have been consumed by hate and this awful cancel culture that we have. And so, Commissioner Skolnick, I put this back on you with several things that you've enacted over the past years. And I hope that you can change the tune of this. And I pray for your wisdom. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, next up is Sean Mullally. Sean, you need to unmute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to just take a brief moment to speak to the CARES Act money that is reported to be coming into our community. I don't know what stipulations or restrictions are coming with that. I'm sure the details will be forthcoming. But I would like to encourage the commission to put as much priority as possible on debt pay down with that, and try to give a gift to the future generations coming. I can't think of a more powerful gift than to leave an inheritance of a debt-free government. I try to imagine what your successors on that board could do with a budget that included a fully funded pension and no bonds of any kind hanging over their head. They could use the funds that they have, the tax revenue they have, entirely towards the community, and that kind of freedom, I think, would be a great thing for the county government. I don't know to what degree that's going to be possible with the stipulations that are coming with the money, but I would encourage you to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mike Glancy. Mike, unmute, please. Mike Glancy, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm unmuting. I would rather give my time up to some other people that haven't spoke. I have already spoke and I used up all my time with regards to the VA.
Okay, Tracy, thank you. All right, the next few have just phone numbers, so I don't have, I'll give you the phone number. It's 616-540-3038. I don't know who you are, that you need to unmute. There you go.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for your time. My name is Brenda Wodarski. I'm calling in with several concerns. First of all, I'd like to address the issue of Zach Laring. Everyone interprets stuff differently. God made us all differently. God bless America. Zach has done nothing but grow that community, help the community, every single person, red, yellow, black, and white. Zach is a strong leader, and the BAM group calling for changes coming by any means necessary. Once again, everybody can interpret things differently. Just look at commercials. It is also a myth about the fraud that somebody mentioned. We had over 40 senators and legislators demand a full audit and transparency, as well as Matt DePerno worked down at the TCF Center. Also, I can vouch, Zach was not at the rally on January 6th at all. He was not there. And we also have the First Amendment right. So disagreement does not mean someone is right and wrong. It just means we disagree. But Zach is a strong leader in that community. I look up to him, I respect him, and anybody needs to meet him and get over your feelings and get the facts. That's all it's about, is the facts. Stop going on feelings, get on facts. That's why we got into this predicament in the first place. People need to do their research. Also, I am opposed of the resolution Melinda brought up. That should have been passed. Anyone that has a computer can get on and look at the actual death statistics. I work in the healthcare field, Alzheimer's dementia hospice. The patents and the royalties coming into CDC and the NDHHS are ridiculous. These lockdowns are ridiculous. When the cure is worse than the disease, our mental health is off the charts.
Your time is up.
Thank
you. Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker is a call. Also, it's at 616-836-3323. You'll have to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Michelle Mixa. I'm a resident of District 9. As a citizen of Muskegon County, I'm very concerned about the so-called vaccine passport that is being rolled out by governments and businesses here in the United States. I'm very concerned about the violation of medical privacy rights these passports require. They limit the ability of free and healthy people to interact normally within our society without either divulging private information or being coerced into an experimental medical procedure. Additionally, these vaccine passports do not take into consideration the large number of people in the county who have gotten and recovered from COVID-19 and therefore have natural immunity. Excuse me. I'm asking the commissioners to put a resolution into effect that protects our medical freedom by prohibiting government agencies and businesses to force patrons to produce papers to freely interact in society. It is the duty of our local government to protect the rights of the citizens in Muskegon County. This includes our rights to medical privacy and the right for healthy people to engage in society freely. It is not enough to wait and see which businesses and government offices deny access based on our private medical decisions and then act. It is prudent to act now so our rights are protected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, there's another phone number here. It's 248-310-7222. There's no name. If your last four digits are 7222, please unmute. And it looks like that disappeared.
Hello?
Oh, are you there? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go on.
hi.
Okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Jennifer Heinrichs, and the reason for my phone call is that I am in support of Mr. Zach Laring. I don't go by what he's posted. I look at the actual things that he's accomplished, which we all should be, in my opinion, looked at. In America, we enjoy our First Amendment rights to free speech. Yet there is a movement, I believe, nationwide to cancel those that we don't agree with, specifically, more or less, the progressive left. We can value and love all people and not agree with them on every issue, and that's okay. That's what life is all about. However, Christians and conservatives are being canceled on, let's say, Amazon and our social medias. Hate speech and free speech cannot coexist. One will naturally cancel the other one out. And I think additionally, those protesting Commissioner Laring's post are projecting racism in Commissioner Laring, which is completely false. He is the most non-racist person I have met. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then it looks like the last one, Pete Cardus. Pete, you're going to have to unmute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I'm not a very good speaker. I've met Zach personally. He's a good man. And I want to try to talk to my Black friends. I come from a country called Hungary. that was under communist rule when we escaped from there. It was under Russian rule. And I'm seeing things in this country happening that are really weighing on my heart, because you don't realize what tyranny is. You don't realize what communism is. And I've got black friends. I've got black pastors as friends. And granted, we cannot talk politics because the Dems, I mean, it's bred into your souls. But this is not the Democratic Party of the past. And I just don't want to see, I'm hurting because I'm seeing us slip back into racism after we've made all these gains in this country to eliminate racism. So please reconsider, and please don't use it as a tool. Please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Jason Hall, please unmute.
Okay, I don't have anything scripted. I really wasn't gonna raise my hand, but this idea with Zach Laring, obviously this was a scripted call in. Is his humor tongue in cheek? Yeah. Is some of it funny? No, I personally believe if men want to play on women's sports, they should be fully committed. There's only one way to do that. I agree with that post. You guys had an opportunity to stand up and let the community know what direction this is going to go with this resolution. This resolution wasn't one county, there's multiple counties. I also like to inform all the commissioners, you all took an oath to protect the rights of every constituent. If you don't follow that oath, those constituents have the right to remove you from office. That can be done legally if you are not protecting their constitutional rights. By voting no, you said they don't have any constitutional rights. They're just saying, why are we doing it? Because the governor said she doesn't have the authority. We want the legislature to pass these laws. That's our constitution. That's how the process works. We don't have a queen. We don't have an aspiring governor. We have an attorney general, not going to do anything. You guys had an opportunity and you showed your cards. You let everybody in the county know where you sit. And it's not with people who want to stand for the Constitution. And I'm extremely disappointed because this could have passed. I could go on for hours, but I'm going to yield my time. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, Karen Bowie, unmute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. This is Karen Bowie, previous county clerk of Muskegon County and previous vice mayor of the city of Muskegon. I would like to address Commissioner Laring and his continual racist, derogatory, and insinuatory posts that he continues to post to drive in misinformation, racial divides, and community distress. Mr. Laring, you represent the entire county of Muskegon, not just your individual constituencies. Your voice matters, and your racist rhetoric is unacceptable. This is not the Jim Crow era, and the community will speak up and take a stand against your racist rhetoricism. We call for a public apology or your resignation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Tammy Jagger, please unmute, Tammy.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
First, I'd like to thank my commissioner, Melinda Pago, for voting correctly on several issues that came before this board. Second, I've known Zach for a few years now, and I've never known him to have a racist bone in his body. You people are focused on something that is irrelevant. You should be focused on the budget, which you have constantly overspent. You should be focused on helping our veterans. I watched two very biased people on this board today talk against trying to plan ahead for the growth of Muskegon County and directly targeting veterans while doing so. Now, if you don't have a problem with that, you really are stuck in the mud. And Zach represents one district in this county. And he does not represent the county as a whole. And he was elected overwhelmingly by his district. I just feel that you're targeting somebody because you're angry and you're bitter. And maybe you should be more worried about the fiscal financial health of this county instead of being worried about somebody's personal posts on Facebook. I just cannot continue to believe that this board continues to mismanage money. And Zach brought up some very good points tonight about taking property out of the tax base. You can't even manage the parks you have, let alone trying to add more property to it. I'm just sorry. You guys should be focused on fiscal conservatism rather than constantly spending my tax dollars on needless crap. Thank you. Have a great night. And again, thank you, Melinda, for voting the correct way.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. Okay, there's two names still on, there's four names still up. Two have already spoken. So next up, it says Deanna H. I'm not sure what your last name is, Deanna. You need to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go
Hi,
ahead.
thank you so much for taking my call, and thank you for your time. I'll be brief. I just first would like to thank Melissa. Melissa, thank you so much for having the guts to try and pass that resolution. It's disappointing that the rest of the commissioners were not on board. And as the gentleman, Mr. Hall stated, now we know where you stand. You don't support your constituents and you don't support the Constitution, which is sad. My second point is on Mr. Lowering. I just like to say, what a good man. This is a hit job, nothing more than that against a good man. And I think most of us can read between the lines and see that this is a political hit. Mr. Lowering is a wonderful person. He is a good man. And if you all would take the time to come in and speak to him, to get to know him, you would see that. I'm going to pray. I think we all need to pray, and we all need to just show a little love towards each other. The world is going in a very bad direction. And I pray for all of us that we just get back on board. And I pray for the commissioners that during your next meeting, you would rethink your vote for your county. This mandate, these lockdowns are unconstitutional. You're hurting the kids, these poor kids, the suicide rates, the depression. Can't you see what you're doing? The churches that are being closed down. You're hurting the community. So I thank you for your time. And I pray that you guys all go home tonight and that you look again at Melinda's proposal. Thank you, Melinda. And thank you, Zach. God bless. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deanna. There's only one left. It's Tracy French. He's already spoken. He relinquished his time. So I think that concludes. I don't see anybody else on here. Oh, Darwin Smith. You have to unmute, Darwin.
Good evening. I've been listening for a while, and I've been wondering, when is your next live county commissioner meeting?
April 6th, I think.
And it'll be open to the public?
As of right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Annie Kuhn. Unmute, please, Annie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Annie Kuhn, and I am a resident of District 4, and I would like to, wow, I had some things prepared, but after listening to most of the phone calls, I'm just not sure where to start. I would like to go ahead and say, for all of the people who are thinking, just go ahead and talk to Zach Lowering, go ahead and meet the guy. Well, I would like to say the first time prior to his first election, as somebody who works in public health and has a very, very clear education on infectious disease and special immunology, I work in the HIV prevention field, and I serve this community in ways that that man could never even dream to. I tried to meet with him to discuss, I know it's so funny, right, Melinda? I tried to meet with him to discuss the impact of removing Planned Parenthood from Muskegon County and trying to understand what sexual health and HIV and STD prevention meant in Muskegon County, and I was rebuked and blocked on Facebook. So I tried, guys. I just want to say that I would like the board to call for his resignation because of his blatantly racist posts on Facebook. I think that people are confused with what, the First Amendment means and what cancel culture means. I'm a proud member of the cancel culture community. It's not real. It's just something that people aren't used to. We're just tired of hearing your nonsense, and we don't want to listen to it anymore. We don't think that Muskegon County needs to have a racist member on the commission, and I would ask that everybody go ahead and take a look in the mirror, because
Annie,
we don't get to decide if other people are racist or not. If they're racist, they're racist.
Annie, your time is up. Thank you. Okay. Did Tracy, he's already, Chris McGuffey, we lost you a few minutes ago, but you're back. You need to unmute, Chris. You just unmuted and then it went back. Try it again. There you go.
Hi.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Your time.
Hi, my name is Deandra Johnson. I was calling regarding of Muskegon County Treasurers. I recently paid my taxes February 16th, and my taxes somehow came up missing. I talked to Tony Molesky about it and Jennifer Matthews about the situation. They act like they couldn't help me in no kind of way. They directed me to call the police. So I called the police. I made a police report about it. That was just Thursday that I talked to the officer. She was supposed to be getting back with me on her next work day. I haven't heard nothing back from her. I'm just like, they told me they want no security outside by the box, no video footage. I was at the door talking to the lady on the day that I came up there and put my money in the drop box. And, I was asking Tony Molesky, can he, at least view the video footage for me? He told me that was nothing he could do for me to call the police. And I'm like, I just feel like this is absurd, for somebody to have to go through this. And, I own my own home. I just recently purchased it. And, they got criminal activity in the Muskegon County Treasurer's Department. And I really just want to get to the bottom of this, because I paid $761 of my hard-earned money, and they trying to say that they didn't get it. And I don't really know what other steps to take, or, what necessary measures that I really need to do. I don't feel like, what could really happen when you fighting against the police, with the police. I mean, how can I ever, get something done or get my voice heard? And so I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to call today and get, my point across.
Okay, ma'am, if I could just make a suggestion, if you could call back to just call the main Muskegon County number, the administrator's office, and talk to them and let them see what they can do to try to help you.
Okay.
There's not much we can do right here, right now, but if you just call the main administration number and let them see if there's anything can be done. Okay?
Okay.
I wish you luck.
Thank you. I love your house.
Okay. Oh, it's not my, it's my Zoom house.
Oh, it looks good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I got one more number here. It's a 517 number, 862-5752.
Hello.
Yep, you're on. Go ahead.
This is Pete Boshoff. Thanks for the time to have the opportunity to comment. I'm a constituent of Commissioner Laring's. I live in his district. I'm a former elected official in Fruitport Village Council, and I've been observing things since the beginning. My family are also former elected officials, and I want to say one thing. The measure of any elected official, including myself, is our voting record. Our voting record. I remember clearly when we were introduced to Mr. Laring at a candidates forum, when Mr. Laring stood in front of 2 TV cameras and a whole lot of people and said, "I'm running to take down Planned Parenthood and because I need health insurance." I would suggest to everyone to look at every elected official's voting record, and especially Mr. Laring's. I think his reputation and the things that he has said are clear. The things he has boasted about on Facebook are clear. And I'd also say, Mr. Laring, perhaps it's time for you to read the Gettysburg Address, that all men are created equal, that this is government for the people, by the people, of the people, for the people, by the people, and for the people. And that includes Muskegon County. That includes transit, recreation, and public health.
Okay, thank you very much. There's one more call, Tracy French. I don't know if you're still there. I thought you already spoke, but I just got a text saying maybe you didn't. If you didn't, here's your chance. I'm sorry if I neglected you there.
That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate the time. I just wanted to touch base with the Commissioner Zach Laring, as others have. I too, a few years ago, asked him about what he meant about a post about he's going to get his money and get on the Matt's bus and go downtown and get malt liquor, and I was blocked. So I would like to see him, I guess, be a little bit more responsible and think about what he posts before he posts it, and how it may affect other people and how it may make people feel. I am a little bit concerned that it's just further pushing people on opposite ends and where they wouldn't normally fall. And so it's not doing the good that he thinks that it's doing. And so I just appreciate your time, and have a great night.
Hey, Tracy, thank you very much. One more, Amanda Clark. Amanda, you have to unmute. There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, I had to step out for a little bit for gymnastics, but I wanted to quick call in again and just give my support for Zach. I think he's doing a great job. I do think he is representing well the people that voted him in. I have seen his posts and I don't see racism there. I fully support him. I love his voting record and I hope he keeps doing it. Even when he knows he's going to lose, he still votes how his constituents want him to vote. He represents the majority of his district and I am so happy with how he is doing.
Okay, Amanda, thank you very much for your call. I think that's it. So we have time right now. We'll end public comment and there's time for final board comments.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mrs. Hovey-Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In May of 2020, this county commission passed a resolution recommitting to the principles of Love Lives Here, a document committed to addressing racism by speaking up against racist acts and standing against those who seek to tear down our community through hatred and bigotry. We can no longer be silent. We as a commission committed to, quote, continuous respectful behavior, compassionate listening and recognition of our individual and collective responsibility to harmony and justice in the greater Muskegon community, end quote. We committed to standing together and denouncing hate and bigotry and affirming our interconnectedness. Mr. Laring has a history of posting racist statements on his Facebook. His most recent one showed a lack of sensitivity at the very least. He said it was a joke, but it caused a firestorm, as we've seen today, in the community due to its racist implications. Unfortunately, racism has a strong and recent history here in Muskegon. In fact, the Love Lives Here statement was a response to racist graffiti and a noose hanging from a local school. Love Lives Here received the support of both parties, Republican and Democrat, over 160 elected officials, business leaders, church boards, and individuals. I'm a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of Rotary, and we've featured many programs on racism. One featured the president of the Community Foundation Board, the president of MCC, and the head of the Interdistrict Library, all African Americans. They talked about the racism they or their family have experienced here in Muskegon. It was in housing. It was in treatment by the police, in the workforce, and in daily interactions. It exists, it hurts, and it discriminates right here in Muskegon. We cannot have a county commissioner or political leader promoting racism or denying its existence. Other commissioners have talked to Mr. Laring privately about his destructive and negative behavior to no avail. That is why I am asking him publicly to stop inflaming the public by making racist statements and posting misinformation about Black Lives Matter or nonviolent protesters or effort to contain the coronavirus. I denounce his behavior and I support those calling for his resignation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hovey-Wright. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I have a comment if I may.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So, with the resolutions from Charlevoix, or from, from Sheboygan, and others that we've tried to pass over the last couple of years that we haven't been able to get past this board. And you want to, everybody says they don't understand my point of view on these issues being very broad, but I would challenge each one of my commissioners to look up the doctrine of the lesser magistrate. That is our job as commissioners, to protect our fellow citizens from the higher authorities. We are a lesser magistrate, and we can stand in the path, stand in the gap to try to protect our citizens in this county from unjust rules. These are not laws. Only the legislature can pass laws. The governor has passed rules, and everyone is blindly following them. We don't need to do that. We need to adopt the concept of a lesser magistrate and protect our citizens from the unlawful rules that are being passed down from the governor. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I have a comment. Yes, did somebody have something?
This is Mr. Sear.
Yes, Mr. Sear, go ahead.
I've listened to all of the comments, and I guess the thought that comes to mind is if some of these people that are making these comments that are anti-Zach Laring, if they would get to know Zach Laring, I think they would find that their opinion of him might change dramatically. Just sending emails or Facebooking back and forth, that's not probably going to do it. You almost have to have a face-to-face, I think, with Zach in order to get to know who he really is. And I can tell you right now, I'm a pretty good judge of character, I believe, and Zach Laring is no racist. So,
okay, Kim, is that it? Yes, you done?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I mean it's only 6:45. We still got 5 hours.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there was somebody that wanted to make a comment, but they weren't able to get in for some reason. They asked me if I would read this. Stephen Rockman. His quote, if you, so where does it start here? Let's start with wokeness, which is on full display today. Wokeness is the term for those who unconditionally accept the concept of systemic racism. That is, they assume racism is present in everything and look for it until they find it. The woke also maintain that systemic racism is as well grounded as a phenomenon of nature such as gravity and tides, and as it is caused by white folks, it can only be eliminated by eliminating whiteness. That is racist. Wokeness is also tyrannical. Wokeness does allow disagreement, as all disagreement is framed as some variation of racial fragility or privilege preserving pushback, not legitimate criticism of the genuinely bad arguments and cynical assumptions put forth by wokeism. Simply denying that you are racist is a sign of your racism. If you disagree or fail to do better, you are complicit in racism and will be canceled. That is because the real goal is power, by any means necessary. George Orwell is spinning in his grave. Reject wokeism. Wokeism is a dangerous absurdity. It is dangerous because it divides Americans and perpetuates racism. It is absurd because America has somehow pulled off the amazing feat of purging its laws, institutions, and culture of racism, and yet we are to believe all in the interest of perpetuating racism. In the end, what we have taking place here is a cynical use of racism to take out a political opponent. And I too agree with what Commissioner Sear has spoken.
Okay, final comment. I just wanted to, I'm actually kind of pleased with this whole thing. There were about 120 people on this call, which is way more than could have fit in a normal board meeting. And I thought that even though we disagree, that's just part of what we do in terms of political discussion. People were civilized, respectful. They spoke well. And I'm pretty pleased with how this meeting went. And I want to thank everybody for, waiting whatever it took to get on the call and say what they had to say. So with that, I'm going to, I need a motion to
Mr.
adjourn.
Chair?
Yes, Charles.
I just wanted to say, I don't know what was going on with my computer, but I haven't been able to get in or turn my video on or anything. But I just wanted to make a comment. Some of the things that have been said, everybody has their different opinion. What I would say to Mr. Laring is that enough is enough. If it's not peaceful, leave it alone. We have so many people that look up to us as county commissioners in this area, and to use it as a bully pulpit and make jokes about race, whatever it may be, people that may be, retarded or having a gay or lesbian lifestyle, that's their business. But we have to understand that we are leaders. And when you sit here and talk about our governor and following the law, you have to look in the mirror. You've also broken several laws, and you sit here and act like you haven't. So let me understand this. Why are we consistently having this discussion when we have a board member who disregards following the oath of the office? I too would love to see him resign, or at least make an apology to the people of this community for his behavior. But until that's done, I don't want to get to know Mr. Laring. I just have to work with him. Other than that, it's ridiculous that you sit here and talk about bringing people together when everything you do is to divide this community.
Right. Okay. I don't think we're going to say anything new at this point. And
Actually, I have something to say, assuming that several of us are Christians on this board. As
please.
Christians, we're called to be salt in the world. And unfortunately, many of us has lost our saltiness. And I appreciate Mr. Laring's saltiness. Thank you, Commissioner Laring.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. I call the meeting adjourned by my prerogative, the call of the chair. So thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you all.